to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today is What Would Lou Do Day, and today's show is called Leading Your Business Through Unprecedented Growth Spurts. Yeah, it's going to get a little crazy, but before I do this, I want to tell you that today's show is sponsored by Mydoma Studio. And we haven't talked lately about how Mydoma Studio is a whole lot more than just a software platform. Of course, Mydoma Studio, you can track your hours, the hours of your team. You can integrate it with QuickBooks. You can communicate with your clients, your trades, your own team. You can create mood boards. You can create packages and services to sell direct from your website while you do other things. You can shop and specify the entire collection of curated Kravet right there through Mydoma Studio. And guess what? When you do this all in one place, what do you think happens? You save time, you create streamlined processes, you save money, and you grow your profits. But as I said, none of these are the real reason to choose Mydoma Studio to manage your design clients. Do you know what the real reason is? Mydoma Studio is founded by an interior designer and is owned and operated by this woman and her family and team. That's right. Sarah Danielli, the CEO of Mydoma Studio, knows you. She knows your business. She knows your challenges, and she knows how to solve the problems that you face. And she cares about you and your business. During the pandemic, Mydoma Studio gave us 19 hours, 4 full days of panels, presentations by the best in the industry. Then Mydoma Studio followed up with 19H The Blueprint, the one-day workshop with personally led instruction on how to implement the info that you found and learned on 19H The Conference. Why? Well, because Mydoma Studio is the real deal. They are real people helping and caring about real people. You. It reminds me of the interview I did with Jesse Lazarus, the Chief Process and Innovation Officer at Kravet. That was episode number 446. Check it out when you can. He is brilliant. But the part I want to call to your attention was that Jesse described how in his role, he is part of deciding who Kravet partners with, how their philosophy and practice is to look beyond the product, service, or idea. They look to see who the people are behind the company. Are they industry people or are they outsiders? Are they simply tech people with a good idea? Or do they actually know our industry and our challenges? Right? With both of these companies, Mydoma Studio and Kravet, it's smart people, people in it with you and for you. And I have tons of new listeners over the last couple of months, and so I thought it was time to let you know why both Kravet and Mydoma Studio and I have been in relationships that go way back to the very start of the podcast. Good humans, great products, your interest top of mind always. So to open up an account at Kravet, go to kravet.com. That's KRAVET.com. And for Mydoma Studio, to start a free trial, go to mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business and see all of this goodness for yourself. Okay. So did you look at the title of the show and think to yourself, that's crazy. How can having too much business be a problem? Isn't that always a good problem? Well, first we have to establish how much is too much. Today I'm talking about whoa. I did not see that coming. Mind-bending, back-breaking, hair-pulling out, too much kind of business, right? Now, if this still sounds like a good problem and you're thinking, hey, I'll take some of that, I'm just going to say be careful what you wish for. You see, back in the beginning of the pandemic, just like many of us, we were getting pretty panicked at WindowWorks, out of our wits that after nearly 39 years in business, we might blow up right then and there. With our monthly cost to be open number in the multiple six figures and our year-end gross revenue goal of more than $3 million, we didn't even close $100K in business in the first 6 weeks of the quarantine. It was like, what you talking about, Willis? I mean, it was insane, right? And so, as I described in episode number 532, we did all the things you do to stand up and fight tooth and nail for your business, okay? I shared many of the lessons that we've learned from past recessions in that episode, real tactics to prepare for a major economic downturn. So if you missed that, and especially if you're still experiencing financial troubles because of the pandemic, then give it a listen. There may be something in there for you to help you get through it, okay? So back to us at WindowWorks. We went all in on that advice that I gave you there, right? We cut costs, we took pay cuts, and we slammed the marketing. Okay. I told you how I've learned from my husband, Vin, and his and our best friends, one of my valued business mentors, Fred Florio, as well as from our leaders and mentors at Exciting Windows, Steve Burston and Steve Wishnow. All of these men say when your business starts to slow down, the smart money and the business owner doubles down on marketing. And so that's what we did. And then what happened? After 6 weeks of chugging through March and April, things started to hum. There was this tiny little buzz in the air at WindowWorks, right? And then all of a sudden, miraculously, we did nearly $400K in May. That was 40% over last year's May. The whoever heard of COVID May of 2019, 40% above that number. Okay. And so here we were. We're like my son-in-law, JC, always says, happy days, right? Our sales team was pounding it hard, phone calls, virtual presentations, working all hours. We just might make it through this, we thought to ourselves. Stay with me. New Jersey is still closed, and after one good month, we're not popping any champagne yet. No. We have a lot to do to keep the momentum going, and we have lots of ground to make up. So we're still driving hard on marketing at this point. We have Nicole Heimer at Curio Electro building web pages like crazy. Okay. We have Christy, my daughter and brand manager, is writing blogs, optimizing for the hot SEO terms, virtual, coronavirus, contactless appointments. Kim starts doing weekly Facebook Lives with Vita, keeping a friendly face in front of our customers and hopefully inviting potential customers to get to know us. We are chasing home advisor leads. We're sending email blasts. Heck, we even went back to old school days and we designed and ordered COVID postcards talking about our virtual services. Then we partnered with two of our favorite pizza shops and they taped them to every single takeout order. Okay. We were door knocking. We were cold calling because 1 month was not going to save the day. Then came the insanity. June, we killed it again. Another month with 40% growth over pre-COVID June numbers. July, the same, 45% over pre-COVID July numbers. And August 2020 was our highest gross sales month of all times, all years, ever in the history of WindowWorks, beating the numbers for May, June, and July. OMG is all I could say to you. I use the word unprecedented in this title. This word, I know, has been used and abused and thrown around like sprinkles on Sundays for weeks and months, but sometimes a word is the right word. It is the only word. The dictionary says unprecedented, never before known, never before experienced. Yes, this is exactly the right word. Okay. So you're thinking, yay, Luann, we're so happy for you. That's awesome. Yay. Our business is busy too. Yay. Right. We did everything right. We cut expenses. We pounded the crap out of marketing. We had weekly owner meetings, weekly coaching sessions with our business coach, Eileen Hahn. We had weekly Zoom meetings. We did it. Yes, JC, happy days. Okay. But then what happened? Factories couldn't keep up with the volume. They were busy. Okay. But they're also on 50% production capacity due to observing social distancing. That's when they did open. Don't forget, we had a whole month of sales before they opened, okay? Everybody on the planet was home and ordering awnings, draperies, and blinds, okay? Lead times dragged, first days late, then weeks late. Oh, and did I remember to tell you that everybody was home? So they are free to call every other minute for when is my awning coming? When are my drapes coming? Okay. Next, our showroom administrator, Adriana, who I've talked to you a million times so lovingly about, gave 2 weeks notice. Yes, she did. And we had to hire and train during the chaos and the wait of hundreds more customers than our normal number of customers. Okay. So what do? Well, we cleared the decks at the podcast, canceled dozens of interviews and meetings. I was back at WindowWorks by day, training, answering phones, and mostly not getting to emails for days at WindowWorks. I started with a simple goal: teach Catherine what I could, answer the phones, set up sales and installation appointments, and answer emails. That shouldn't be too hard, right? It's not the full job description for our showroom administrator. It's 5 tasks, okay? Right. By day 4, the new goal: see if I can get the phone answered, make appointments. And if I can get emails open sometime by Sunday before we start all this craziness over again on Monday, Lou gets a gold star. I mean, that's the truth, okay? And understand, this wasn't just me. This was a team effort all day long. We had an installer answering the phone for 2 weeks before we found and hired Catherine. Kim was doing statuses, checking orders, packing slips, marking boxes, and quoting work for designers who were busy day and night, just like we were. JC and Rich were selling awnings like chiclets and learning how to sell inside products. And to be clear, by learning, I mean they were selling them and we were figuring it out later if they did it right. Like, that's just where we were, okay? And Vin was doing anything and everything that had to do with data and money. All the bookkeeping, filing, and, all the bills, filling out 15 gazillion government forms in the middle of all this, tracking sales, processing credit cards. The entire CRM data system fell on him. Billy was back installing awnings, which he hadn't done in 15 years. He was calling vendors, who, by the way, weren't answering their phones, about deficiencies and delayed deliveries. It was nuts. Okay. Then, what they say, the poo-poo really hit the fan. Okay. Because here's what happens. It stayed above 90 degrees with 90% humidity in New Jersey for nearly 8 weeks. Our installers were walking zombies. They were dry heaving on the jobs. They were having to go home sometimes halfway through the day from heat exhaustion. And here's the thing. If one installer goes home, the rest of the day's done because it takes 2 men to lift a 400-pound awning. So it's not like other things, like one guy goes home and the other guy keeps working. It's like the day's done, okay? They were running 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. They were absolutely at their physical limits. Did I say this was nuts? This was nuts, okay? Hang on to your hats. Mid-August, our lead awning installer fell off a ladder and broke his ankle. A bad break. Surgery, going to be a hard cast for 6 weeks, no weight at all, then a soft boot cast, then finally rehab. We won't have him on a ladder until January, okay? So thankfully, oh my goodness, thankfully, as bad as that is, that's all that it was. I mean, honest to gosh, right? Now, 2 of our other installers, one of the guys, his girlfriend tested positive for COVID. So yeah, he can't go to work. He has to get a test. He has to wait for the results in quarantine. Another installer, 2 weeks in a row, ended the week with 102.9 fever. He had to go for a COVID test both weeks. Both weeks we had to wait. Thankfully, both times negative. But we're not installing while this is happening, okay? So in all my years in business, I have never experienced anything like this. I thought that being unprepared for a recession was the hardest thing I had ever experienced. And until the last 3 months, it truly was, okay? It is why with each recession, we have been willing to be very cutthroat when we see it coming, all right? I told you in episode 532 the things that we did. I also told you in episode 532 that in that first recession that we went through in 93, I was crying practically on the daily. okay, because it was so difficult, all right? And, the funny thing is this, that thing that you say to a newlywed couple? You tell them to put $1 in a jar every time they have sex the first year that they're married, and then you tell them starting on your second anniversary, or your first anniversary actually, that you take $1 out every time that you have sex from then on, and the joke is they'll never empty it for the rest of their married life, right? Well, I say this because now, in the almost 20 years since that recession in 93 we went through, it's not even possible that I cried as many times as I did in that 6 months in the last 20 years put together. Okay? Not a chance. I was absolutely terrified that Window Works was going to go under during my watch while Vin worked at Decorating Den. And so my point is that that really was hard, but this is a different beast. Okay, this is a completely different beast. The number of phone calls that I have made in the last month that have gone like the following is unimaginable. Hey, Mrs. Smith. Hi, it's Luann at Window Works. How are you? Oh, that's so great to hear. Well, I am sorry. I have some disappointing news. Your install that was scheduled for tomorrow, for Tuesday, yeah, I'm sorry. I need to cancel it. You see, our installer fell off a ladder and broke his ankle. And I have another one who's waiting for a COVID test. And, oh yeah, I have another one that went home sick with heat exhaustion. And, oh yeah, and this and this and this. Oh, when can I reschedule it? I don't know. 2 weeks from Friday? Like, are you kidding me? And so here it comes. Get ready. This is unacceptable. How can you do this? Are you serious? Well, ma'am, yes, the broken ankle, the COVID. Yeah, I thought I was going to get this awning last month. I know. I'm sorry about that too, because you see, our factory is 4 to 5 weeks behind on production. Yada, 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 holy moly. Right? So here's my inside voice. Lady, every single blasted person in the country is home, and they all have that same vacation money that they're not spending. So the entire state of New Jersey is just like you. They've ordered new awnings, blinds, and drapes, and I can't get a straight answer out of a single customer service rep. No, I actually can't even have a conversation with one. And you know what? I'm really sorry, but I can't change it, and you're just going to have to get over it. We'll be there on the 5th of never. Right, that's totally inside voice. Did I tell you this was nuts? Yes, it's been nuts. So the thing about this is, you see, at first Vin was making and fielding all of these calls. But forget Window Works folding up because of the pandemic. If he was the one to continue to have to do these, I think the cops would have closed us down. or we would have had closed because he would have told every single customer that we had to go kiss his you-know-what, and by the way, there's the front door. He was losing his mind with these calls. He really legitimately spent weeks not sleeping because, you know what? Vin cannot stand to disappoint anyone. All right. And this is a true fact about him. And this is actually truly a really wonderful trait of his. It's what makes him work so hard. And it's what makes him go to the 9th degree for friends, family, and customers. And I have to say, it has always served me and our kids very nicely, not for nothing. You know the man. If you know him, you got to love him, right? But mix his frustration of disappointing you, the customer, with vendors making repeated mistakes and customers saying, I understand the place you're in, but not really. Just give me my install date. Well, that's a crazy cocktail right there. No men left standing on his side or ours. Okay. So every day, still as I write this, I go to Window Works all day, Monday and Friday, and around every day, the other days in between, 4:30 or 5 o'clock, I go there and I start making these calls. Every person wants to know where their order is, every customer that has to be canceled, every move, every delay, every single person that has to be disappointed, I get to make those calls. So you want to talk about sales skills? All I can say is thank you, Og Mandino, Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, and Napoleon Hill. The hours and hours we have spent together all these years are serving me very well every darn day. Okay. So here's what it is. Wake up, do an interview, cancel 4 installs, talk to our sponsor, edit a show, do our chairman of the board, go get fruit and ice cream and Gatorade for the guys, send you had better call me back or else email to our vendor who does not answer any statuses, do an IG live, drink Pinot Noir, watch Netflix, pass out, repeat. Oh my God. Did I tell you it's been nuts? Being unprepared for too much business mixed in with some real life losing employees, injuries, and the real-time effects of COVID on factories and people, well, this is where you pick yourself up and you put on the biggest big girl panties in your drawer and you decide to be excellent or not, okay? So it's been a challenge. And I decided to share some of this because I know from my Exciting Windows group, where I have all of my window treatment retail colleagues, that this is the same, like for probably 85% of the people in Exciting Windows. I know it from my coaching calls that I'm doing that this is the same for a lot of you. So what I can tell you is that as many times as I cried in 1993, I have not cried once during this. And this has been harder. There's no question. But I'm older and stronger and wiser. And there are now every day when it gets even crazier and crazier, I just keep thinking, what are the lessons in this? What are the lessons? Keep your head on straight. Keep paying attention, keep focusing. And so I wanted to share with you the lessons that I'm getting out of it. And I also just wanted to share with you that if this is the first time you're going through something like this, and you might be the way I was in 1993, understand that you're normal and that it is hard. Okay, so let's get to some of the lessons and hindsights of my observations of these last several months. And by the way, we're still in knee deep into it, so it's not over. And maybe in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 more months, I'll have more observations. But right now, I wanted to say that, number one, I would still do the marketing blitz again. All right? Too many smart people, particularly the ones I mentioned, who have way more experience in business than I do, say to do it. And so even though it has resulted in so much business, I still would do it again. I think that when people have had, decades and decades of business experience say it, you need to listen to it. And these men all have a decade or 2 or 3 on me. And so I cannot discount that. And I have to say that I would not change it. So crazy, but I would not. All right. Now, one thing I think we did good, this is number 2. The one thing I do think that we did do good, hindsight, is when our admin quit, we moved quick to hire. This was a good decision on our part. There was a temptation not to do this. There was a temptation to wait. We were still in quarantine when this happened. Her whole 2-week notice still happened when New Jersey was closed. And we were not sure yet that we were going to get through this. We were not sure if we were going to have to ultimately furlough or lay off employees. We had not received any indication if we were getting PPP money or what it would be. And so it was very dicey. And we had a lot of conversation about this and what the risk was. But ultimately, we decided that the 3 of us as owners, Vin, Bill, and myself, would prefer and would end up going without salary for up to several months if that's what it took, rather than not have a showroom administrator, even if that showroom administrator was going to work from her kitchen, okay? Because our business is more organized when someone is minding the hub, and we didn't want to give that up. So in hindsight, I'm really glad we did it, but I wanted you to know that even though we thought in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we might have to lay off another employee who had been with us longer, we had made a decision that we needed an admin. And so we worked our fannies off to not have to be in that situation. But it was a very clear, blunt conversation between us. And that's what the lesson was in it, all right? The third thing that we did was that we continued to have partner meetings every single week with Eileen Hahn, our business coach, in with us, okay? Communication during this time is critical. If you've ever hit a rough patch in any kind of relationship that matters to you, then you know that the time to go to therapy is when you still care about the other person. Because if you wait until you don't care about them, it's often too late. So for us, having this meeting every week, it meant that, a couple of things, that it was like therapy in that you can bring up sensitive topics and have a better hope of getting through to each other because of the presence of the neutral party, our coach, okay? Because stress brings out the crazies in all of us. And it's nice to know, number one, that there's going to be somebody there that just say, hey, can we just hear what they have to say? Okay, without everybody getting crazy. And it's also having them every single week just built in. It was nice to know that if I really thought we should do something and maybe Vin didn't, or Billy thought we should do something and I didn't, we didn't feel like we had to have the conversation to the nth degree every single week, because we knew we were coming back the following week. And so that made it so that we could, in many of the situations with the hard, tough decisions, be able to say, okay, I hear what you're saying. I get where you're coming from. I'm going to think about it. And next week, let's bring it up again, right? So, and then also to have the ultimate sounding board of that business coach there was really, really good. Okay, the fourth thing is that we went to an all hands on deck approach, and that meant that we shuffled roles around, like in the case of me taking all the good, the bad, and the ugly calls. All right, it just wasn't productive for Vin to do it, and Catherine, our new admin, didn't have anywhere near the skill set yet to handle this type of phone call that was coming in 4 and 5 times a day, right? So we sat around and we're like, okay, who's going to do this? So we moved things. And so Vinny took, like I said, he took all of things that had to do with letters and data and all of that. And I took these things. So the idea is that you have to be nimble, you have to be open, you have to be flexible, and you have to be forgiving of each other, because when you step into roles that aren't roles that you normally play, you're not always going to be really great at them. But what we ultimately looked at and said that whether you are absolutely excellent at this or not, you're better than me at it. And so when you fall down doing this role, I'm just going to have to say, thanks so much for doing your best, because it was better than I could have done. And so that was important. So, all hands on deck, and then have some flexibility and grace with each other. Okay. 5, raise prices in this environment, okay, especially to new clients. All right, for longtime loyal customers and clients, maybe not so much, but new ones, yes, okay. Because this is a way, look, we had less time, less manpower. So raising prices automatically weeds people out. There's no question. And then if somebody does ultimately sign with you at a premium rate, well, then, you got to do what you got to do. You got to deliver, right? But raise prices. That's what you do when you are absolutely crazed and have too much business, okay? You also have to actually say no to the wrong job. So raising prices weeds out people, but there's times when you just have to decide, are there jobs that we have to categorically say no to? So for you listening, maybe when it's thin times and the phone isn't ringing so much and the pipeline isn't so busy, if you're a luxury designer, I know many of you have said that, my sweet spot is that bigger project, that 2, 3, 4, 500,000, whatever it is project. But I will keep my junior designer busy with one-off master bedrooms or one-off rooms or paint consults or whatever it is when when the numbers are low or we're slow or in between, or even your own self. Maybe you have your model set up where you're designed for X amount of type projects for the most part, but in slower times, you'll fill in with those smallers. And so this is time to say ixnay to the smaller ones or the ones that just aren't the best profit margin. See, and you have to know that, right? Do you know which jobs bring you the best profit margins? And so for us, one of the things is repair calls. So we repair calls are almost like an email lead magnet for us, right? So whether it's a blind or a drapery repair call or it's an awning repair call. Now, I'm not talking about our own clients. Our own clients call for a repair. They get a repair. That's part of the deal. That's part of your service with Window Works, okay? But you're a stranger and you call up and you say, my awning won't open. Our first question is always, I'm so sorry to hear that. What is it doing? Blah, blah, blah. And did you get the awning from us? You see? And in regular times, yes or no doesn't matter. It's like, oh, okay, you didn't, okay, fine. It was there in the house when you moved in or blah, blah, blah. But when it was like this, we're like, okay, no repair calls on any product we didn't sell. We just don't do it. We can't do it. We can barely get to the people who have ordered a $50,000 awning, let alone somebody who needs, a $95 repair call. So the idea is, what do you say? How do you say it? So you have to think about that. You don't leave it for whoever answers the phone to think about it. And you don't leave it for when you're on the phone thinking about it, because you're going to go humna, 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 right? So for us, it was just, oh, blah, blah, blah. And did you get the awning from us? Oh, you did. Oh, I'm so sorry. We're not in a position now because we don't have the parts. We don't have this. If you didn't buy it from us, how will we know what to do with it? And if they say, well, can't you just come out and look? Well, it's $295 for us to come and look. It's really normally half that, but we raised our prices. It's $295 for us to come and look. But if I didn't sell the awning to you, I can tell you it's a pretty good chance I'm not going to be able to repair it, but you're still going to have to pay me the $295. What do you feel like doing? Yeah, I thought so. Bye. Right? Okay. So you have to figure it out. What are you going to do? Okay. And it's just saying without any hesitation, no to the wrong jobs, whatever they are and but that's my big lesson in here is figure out what the wrong jobs are. Okay. All right. Number 7, the biggie, be honest, right? Let's say it this way, the most honest you can, and nothing more than what you have to, and nothing that's not true. Okay. So I use this example all the time. When your 4-year-old asks you, where do babies come from? The answer that you give is very different than when your 12-year-old asks you the same question. Right? So to your 4-year-old, you say, why, my son of mine, they come from mommy's stomach, which of course is completely true, right? It's just not the entire truth. Okay. The whole truth would be traumatizing for a 4-year-old. So don't traumatize your clients with every last detail when you can give them the truth, but not all of the craziness that is just going to get them even crazier and upset. Okay. So you don't want to give them information that doesn't serve them for that moment. Okay. And of course, how can I know what that is? It's every conversation is different, but the point is that you put yourself in their place. If they're expecting something and you can't deliver it, do you want somebody to pick up the phone and have this big, long story and at the end of it, I'm not coming on Tuesday? Or do you want them to just tell you, I can't make the promise that I can't keep the promise I gave you, and I'm sorry. And the reason why, and the big reason is I haven't installed it, fell off the ladder, broke a leg, right? Like I'd have to go through all of, and my vendor doesn't call me back and blah, 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 right? So the point is that I'm not a fan of making up stuff. I think that's crazy pants in plain English. The truth, and I have to say, it's funny because it got really hairy several times when we would have to cancel an appointment and I couldn't even project when I could put it back in the calendar. So think about that. It's 90 degrees here in New Jersey. You're hot as heck. You think you're getting your awning on Friday and you can't wait because you haven't been able to be on your deck, and I've got to cancel you, and I can't even say I'm going to come the following week. Like I was having to tell people I was coming in 2 and 3 weeks later. That's nuts. And it would always happen because, oh my goodness, now so-and-so's girlfriend is COVID and he's going home and we're not going to have him all next week, or, this and that and the other thing. And a couple of times the others in my office are like, what are you going to tell them? And I'm like, I'm going to tell them the truth because you can't make this crap up. Like, what am I going to make up? The idea is, my point is 99.9% of time, the truth is the truth, right? Like, listen to me. The truth is the truth. The truth is the reason you can't come. So why do you need a different reason you can't come? That's what I'm trying to say, right? It is how you frame it. It is how you explain it. And it is how you handle it. So all of that is all the extra. Go see Og Mandino and Zig Ziglar and Dale Carnegie and all of them for that, right? Okay, number 8, document everything you said, everything you promised, and everything you learned when you did speak with the client that you had to call and disappoint. Okay. If I canceled because one of the guys was sick, I wrote it down and I said which one of my guys was sick, why they were sick, was he throwing up on the truck, did he not come in? Because the following week, when crazy as it was happening again, I would do everything I could not to cancel the same client over again. Right? Because I had on the note, canceled on XYZ date, XYZ person went home sick, canceled on XYZ date because it poured rain in New Jersey that one day, So I would put on the reason why so that, it's just a simple thing. This was dozens and dozens of phone calls. And if I come out of the gate saying, because there were times, let's put it this way, there were times that I did have to cancel the same people for legitimately the same reason, because this kept happening. So it's so much better for me to start that conversation by saying, hey, Mrs. Smith, it's Luann at Window Works. It's almost hard for me to believe, but I have an installer that went home sick again today, and we're not going to make it this afternoon, and I'm really sorry. And I can't believe that this has happened to you twice in 3 weeks or twice in 2 weeks or whatever it is. And of course, oh my goodness, you got to be kidding me. How, you people this and you people that, right? And you just let her talk, let them talk, whatever it is. And then to say, I know, I'm sorry, but it's been 90 plus degrees and it's challenging to be on a ladder and lift a 400-pound awning in this weather. It just really is, day after day. And he's sick. There's nothing I can do. I'm really sorry. Right? So it's like, whereas if I just said, hi, I'm really sorry I have to cancel you. Why? Oh, because my installer's sick. That's what you said last week. That's nonsense. You see, now it does sound like nonsense, right? So keep good documentation on everything that you do. Okay. Number 9 is sometimes you might have to walk away and give the money back. All right. Sometimes it is what it is. And here's the thing. I did have this situation one time. Someone called up, and not one time in this past month, someone called up and left a message and said, if I don't have my awning installed next week, I want my money back. And, I looked at the calendar. I'm like, he's not getting it next week. He's not getting it for 3 weeks. Like this, let's be serious. It's not happening for 3 weeks. And so I have a little powwow with Vinny and Billy. I'm like, all right, I'm going to call this guy and I'm going to do my best, Napoleon Hill on him. But ultimately, what are we willing to do? Are we willing to give him his money back? And so we had a little conversation about it. And then we reached out to the salesperson and what's this person like and blah, blah, blah. And ultimately we were like, yeah, okay, fine. Give it back. Like we were going to write a $5,000 check back, like see you bye, because there was no way that awning was going to be installed in less than 3 weeks. And so there's no point in me pretending. There is no room now for over-promising and under-delivering. Absolutely none. There's almost never any room for that, but whoa, not in this situation. There is no point on me on that Friday saying, well, let me do my best. Maybe I can by next Friday. Let me call you next week, because the writing was on the wall. So just face it. Just face it and say it. And so what happened is, I think there was a combination of that I showed enough compassion for the situation he was in, right? It's on us. There is a real thing called COVID out there, and the factories really are overwhelmed and they really are working at 50% capacity. And ultimately, was willing to give him his money back. And I said to him, I said, listen, is this an awning that you only could use for the next 5 or 6 weeks of, what's remaining in August and September for the warm weather? What do you mean? And I said, will this awning have absolutely no value to you next summer? Well, maybe it will. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. But I ordered it, 2 months ago. I want it now. I said, no. I'm not, I get it. Believe me, I get it. I would want it too now. I wanted you to have it now. But I can tell you this, if I give you your money back, which I am happy to do, you see right there, I go, if I give you your money back, but if I leave that hanging, it feels like a threat. But if I follow it with, which I am happy to do, then I said to him, but then if next summer you want an awning, it's going to cost more money. Why is that? Well, because we get a price increase every single March from our vendor, and they didn't increase the price this year because of COVID. And I'm pretty sure by next year, we're going to get hit pretty hard. And he said, well, I mean, you would, but this contract, this price. I said, right, this contract, this price. So if you want to fulfill this contract, you will get this price. What do you feel like doing? Well, when could you install it? I said, I hate to tell you, 3 weeks. He still doesn't have it by the time I'm recording this. He took it. He did it. Okay? So the idea is calm, honest, don't say what you can't do, but know what you will do and be willing to walk away. All right? And that is, the thing, because going into that, knowing that if you're a solo, you sit down with yourself and you have the conversation. What will I do? If this ultimately turns to a bad place, will I write this check? Because now the whole thing is about that. I have to say, I'm out. The conversation is anything I get out of it is better because I've already prepared to write a $5,000 check, right? So whatever happens is better, or I end up with what exactly I expected to do. But it's when that happens to you on the fly and you're not sure, okay? And I want to just say to you, yes, I had warning. He had told my admin that. But if I had not had warning, if I had answered the phone, then I'm going to tell you what I would have said. I would have said, Mr. So-and-so, I'm really sorry that you're disappointed, but in order to give you an answer to that, I'm going to have to call you back. What do you mean? If I don't have a next... Right, I hear you. But right now in this phone call, I don't know if I can install it for you next week. So to take your request seriously, either your money back or the installation for next week, I'm going to need to get back to you. And I'm sure he would have been like, blah, 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 blah. But I would have just stood my ground on that because I needed to consult with Billy and Vin. Do we want to write checks? What are we doing here? So I would have just kept calmly saying, I've heard you. I hear you. I get it. And I will call you. And then I would have told him when I was going to call him back by. So it wouldn't have mattered if I was surprised or I had the time to figure it out with everybody, because you need to know you can always say, I have to get back to you. It's okay. It's your prerogative. All right. As long as you're nice when you say it. That's all. All right. So number 10 is hang in there. It will pass. You will come out of it. Just stay the course. Stay honest. Stay true to your employees, to your partners, to your clients, to your trades. Don't say things you don't mean. The words will always be there. Okay. So the bottom line, in hindsight, too little business is way easier than too much business, I have to say. But I know either way, we will survive, and so will you. We will survive at WindowWorks armed with new lessons, new ahas, new war stories to tell at our holiday parties. That's always fun, okay? And I just want to let you know that this pandemic has been hard in a lot of ways. So some of them in ways that are surprising. It's the last thing that I ever would have expected back in March, that we would be sitting here in this position having such a trying and challenging situation because we are overwhelmed with business. But that is why they call it unprecedented, isn't it? So I want to say to you, I'm sending you big hugs, all right, and positive vibes. And know that I will be thinking of you when I pour my Pinot Noir tonight, all right? Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.